My name is Professor Kentaro Iwata. I am a specialist of infectious diseases at Kobe University Hospital, Kobe, Japan. Today, I entered into the cruise ship Diamond Princess, which is bombarded by a lot of COVID-19 infection right now. And I was removed from the ship on the same day. And I'm going to talk to you why this happened. I was very concerned of the number of the people who got infected with COVID-19 disease infection. Then I was wondering why this is happening. I wanted to enter into the cruise ship and wanted to be useful in helping to containing infection there. And I spoke with several people, and finally the one officer at working for Ministry of Health and Labor called me yesterday saying that, well, you can come and enter into a cruise ship and do the infection control work. And I said, fine. Then I prepared my stuff and did all the paperwork and arrangement, and they got onto the Shinkansen from Kobe to Yokohama. On the way to go to Yokohama, I got another call from the same officer saying that somebody didn't like me, so you can't get into the cruise ship. He was not able to say who, and he was not able to say why. But certainly some power over him affected his decision, and I was blocked from entering into the ship. Then after several discussions, he found another way that if you could come as a one of the DMAT member, you can come in as into the cruise ship. DMAT is the disaster management medical team in Japan, and usually deals with disaster, not infectious diseases. But because of the lack of the people who could help people inside the cruise ship to get out of the ship, or the managing a fever and so on and so on, DMAT was requested to enter into the cruise ship. Because my specialty is not disaster management, so I was not very happy about that, but because there was no other way, I said, fine, I'll do that. Additionally, I got another call that some people didn't like me getting into the cruise ship even as a DMAT member. So another discussion happened, then I waited about 1 hour in Shin Yokohama Station, then finally the officer found a way that if you work for DMAT, not as an infection prevention specialist, but as the ordinary routine DMAT officer working under one of the DMAT doctor doing a routine job, then you could come enter the cruise ship. I was not very happy with that decision, but because there's no other way, so I said, fine, then I'll get into the ship. I entered the ship, then I found the chief officer of the DMAT and spoke with him. I said, well, I was assigned to the DMAT member, so I'll do whatever you want to say. He said, well, you don't have to work DMAT work because that's not your specialty, and you are an infection prevention specialist, so why don't you do the infection control? Then I said, fine. I spoke with the superior of him, who is in charge of all the DMAT operation, and he also said that you are an infection control person, so you should do infection control. I said, fine. But he said, well, you shouldn't be here as a DMAT member, you should come as the infection control specialist. He was not very happy about while I was inside the DMAT, but because that was not my decision, there was no other way. So I said, well, I have to do it. I looked into the several places inside the ship, and turned out that the cruise ship was completely inadequate in terms of the infection control. There was no distinction between the green zone, which is free of infection, and the red zone, which is potentially contaminated by virus. So the people could come and go wearing a PPE, off PPE. Crews were just walking around, and the officers of Ministry of Health and Labor was walking around. DMAT people were walking around. Psychiatrists were walking around. And the people were eating on one place, people were wearing PPE and off PPE and eating lunch with the gloves on, and just dealing with the smartphone with full PPE, so it was completely chaotic. And some crews had a fever. They went to the medical center while wearing an N95 mask, but he didn't have any protection between his room and the medical room. And the medical officer was not protecting herself, and she was very unhappy, saying that, well, she was already infected. I'm sure about that. So she was completely giving up protecting herself. Anyways, I dealt with a lot of infections more than 20 years, and I was in Africa dealing with the Ebola outbreak. I was in another countries dealing with the cholera outbreak. I was in China in 2003 to deal with SARS, and I saw many febrile patients there. I never had fear of getting infection myself for Ebola, SARS, cholera, because I know how to protect myself and how to protect others and how the infection control should be. And so I could do the adequate infection control, protect myself, and protect others. But inside Princess Diamond, I was so scared. I was so scared of getting COVID-19 because there was no way to tell where the virus is. No green zone, no red zone. Everywhere could have virus, and everybody was not careful about it. There was no single professional infection control person inside the ship, and there was nobody in charge of infection prevention as a professional. The bureaucrats were in charge of everything, and I spoke with the head officer of the Ministry of Health and Labor, and he was very unhappy with my suggestion of protecting DMARC people and other staffs so that no other secondary transmission to occur. Then after several hours of talking to people and finding problems, I found a lot of issues there. For example, informed consent of getting a PCR from the people in the ship was on a paper, and that paper was going back and forth with the room of the infection from the paper by touching there. So I suggested that maybe it's better to abandon the paper type informed consent, but rather the getting the informed consent verbally would be more protective, and so on and so on. So I think I was reasonable, and I never yell at anybody, and I never criticize anybody personally. But I was trying to be constructive, but they tried to seek the constructive but immediate improvement to protect everybody inside the ship. Then, about 5 o'clock, the person from the quarantine office came in and approached, said, well, you have to be out because you will not be allowed to inside the ship, because I was inside the ship as the temporary officer of the quarantine, but apparently my rank was removed by somebody, and nobody said who, but I was out. And the officer who offered me the job of infection control said he was sorry. Then I asked him, so what do you want to do? Do you want to infect everybody in the ship? It will be thousands of people who could potentially get COVID-19. I don't criticize DMARC people. They were not infection control specialists. Society of Infection Prevention entered. A lot of specialists came in, but they spent only a few days and left. And they said they were fearful of getting infections themselves. I share the same fear because I'm in a single room now, and I'm separated from my family. I'm very scared of getting infection myself, and I'm very scared of infecting my family too. I'll be out of my medical service at Kobe University Hospital for maybe next 2 weeks to avoid further infections to occur. That is very likely to occur if you keep zero infection control inside the ship, Diamond Princess, like this. you might know that there is no CDC in Japan, but I thought there must be some specialist called on and was in charge of infection control in a ship. I was not expecting nobody was professional infection control specialist, and only the bureaucrats were doing the jobs, completely layman's work, and violating all the infection control principles and risking people inside further infections. So I'm not very surprised to see many new positive PCRs to be broadcasted every day. Hundreds of people got infected, and a lot of people from outside Japan decided to take their people away from the ship and bring them to their home countries by airplane and offer them another 14 days of quarantine. I hope this will be the opportunity to raise the question of what is happening inside the ship. I wish all the international bodies to request Japan to change. I wish everybody to call for protection of people inside the Diamond Princess. Otherwise, there will be far more infections for passengers, for crews, for DMAT members, for psychiatrists, for officers of the Ministry of Health and Labor. DMAT members consist of nurses and doctors, and they will go back to their hospitals. They work routinely, and they might infect their patients further to spread and the disease. I can't bear with it. I can't bear with it. I think we have to change. We have to do something about this cruise, and we have to help people inside the ship, their safety and their life. Again, I'm Professor Kentaro Iwata, infectious diseases specialist. Thank you for the listening.
Okay, I want to show you a couple things here. Let me get it going. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Diamond Princess. It's supposed to be just a disaster. Let me see. Okay. Well, let me show you one thing real quick, because it'll be important later on. This is a tube with an infected patient in it, and this looks like it would be the best way to go. This is the most secure thing I've seen so far, because I've seen a lot of them wheeled out in open air, and I've been wondering about that. Okay, let me take you to some stories first, and then I'll show you some video footage. These are just the stories about the Diamond Princess that I've been keeping track of. Let me make sure. Diamond Princess. The State Department flew coronavirus infected Americans to the U.S. against CDC advice. What's the other one? Japan lets cruise passengers walk free, from the New York Times. I mean, it's just a disaster what happened on this ship. Never-ending nightmare. Evacuated Americans carried virus from cruise ship to the airplane. That's from CBN News. Diamond Princess. Even with the quarantine process on the ship, virus transmission still occurred. Okay, I think that's it for that. Let me go ahead and show you some video footage. Okay, this is a passenger on the Diamond Princess.
Go to get treatment, but we all staying strong. And last night when I prayed for everybody, and I thank you all for praying for us. I think thinking about today, I decided to stay strong. I decided to face it all and just face it for all until the day we can get off the boat.
Now you notice everybody's just walking around. And do you remember that professor talking about no green zone, no red zone, just people walking around?
And I'm not afraid anymore. I just hope that what I can do to help the others and make them stronger, and also show to other passengers who read my Twitter knowing that they will be okay. So it's very important. I need to show them is
The only protection these people have is a mask. That's it.
we can be strong as long as we're willing to choose to fight for it. So that's why, like today, when I walk on the deck, it's like there's people here. As long as I'm cautious and see there's staff here waving to us, it's great. We also stay strong as well. And you see.
Now here's another thing right here. If the people who are infected are put in tubes, why do you need a tunnel? What is the reasoning for a tunnel? And I'll show you a picture of a guy in a minute inside this tunnel, and all he's wearing is a mask.
There is it must be Japanese officer arranging to planning everything and setting up everything to make sure that very carefully that the virus will not spread airborne. So you see how they cover everything when they transfer people who is infected, get on the ambulance. So I just hope that everybody don't worry about us and don't questioning the authority, because I'm sure they're trying their best. It's such a very, very special, very unique situations. I'm sure the whole world are using this incident as an example to learn if there's any case happen to their country as well. But I need to give my applause to.
Let me see where I'm at here. Now let me just show you the beginning. Again, just a few seconds. I wanted to see the.
To get treatment, but we all staying strong, and
Okay, let me move on. That's people. I want to show you the important stuff first. Apparently the people walked through these cones. It says, no, I don't think so. There is a sit area for the media. And this is the guy inside the tent where they're transferring people that are infected, and all he's wearing is a mask. That's it. It looks like all this guy is wearing is a mask. And I don't see any tubes or anything like that. I just want to make sure I got everything here. Yeah, I think. Let me start heading back up. This is when she just got out of, left the ship.
We're leaving now.
These people, nothing more than a mask.
Arthur, thank you. Thank you. We are leaving. Oh. Bye, Diamond Princess. We're gonna miss you.
I think this lady's kind of in la la land. She doesn't understand what took place or what was going to take place.
Hello, world.
I certainly don't blame her being happy. I'd be very happy. I had to do 5 days in a wildfire with no power. And boy, that was miserable, and then just happy as I could be when it was over. Let me see if there's anything else here real quick. We got that, we got that, we got that. The military trucks, that's what I wanted.
When we get off the deck, we can get on the deck 2 days in a row. But today we shift to deck 7. So let's look what's going on today outside the ships. And when we get off the deck, passing down the deck, and we already see a lot of supplies to the ships, but it looks like they're cleaning. Because yesterday we were seeing people clean.
Disinfectant trucks.
Cleaning the pool and stuff like that, so I'm sure that those are some material, some supply that they use to clean up the ships. They need to clean the ships to avoid further contaminated. So I keep on going. As you know, the ambulance still here, waiting, just in case they needed to transfer people. But every day is usual, and they're doing the regular routines to make sure.
There was the military trucks. I remember she zoomed in on them at one point, but I don't see it. Okay, I think I've got, that is everything, folks, that I wanted to tell you. You can read all the articles on my website about what a disaster this was. It made things worse, much worse. Okay, I'll come back on when I have some more news for you. Thank y'all.